discover the signs I overlooked, and the surprising revelations that shattered my trust. If you have ever felt betrayed or suspect infidelity in your relationship, don't miss this story.
I thought she was smarter than that, but... Okay. My voice remained unperturbed. Brenda raised her voice. Okay, did you hear what I said? Yes, honey. You have a date with a man this Friday. And you're okay with that? I couldn't help but notice her surprise. Of course I mind, but what choice do I have? As you've noticed, I don't control you, you're on your own. Your voice and your expression tell me you're determined to see this through, so what choice do I have left? I'll go back. Don't let your fragile male ego get in your way. I love you, and I'll make it up to you, you'll see. So you know it's wrong. Once again, I kept my voice steady and calm. What do you mean? I didn't say anything like that. I deserve this date. Would our parents, yours and mine, agree with you? Brenda lowered her eyes and said nothing, a clear hint. I let the moment hang in her mind. It wasn't visible, but I knew she still had it. You know, and I know they won't understand it. You know what you're doing is wrong. You just said it. What? When? Why did you say you'd make it up to me? If it was dinner with friends, you wouldn't have to make it up to me. Or if you went to get a haircut. You only said that because you know what you're doing is wrong, and you know it makes you an evil person. There was a little uncertainty in her voice. But, you said I could do it. No, I never said that, and I never will. All I've admitted is that I'm in no position to stop you. I certainly don't approve of it in any way. I'd like you to stay with me or go out with me. We can go to the same restaurant and then to the same dance club. But it's not about the food or the dancing, is it? It's about the company you prefer. And that company isn't me. You want to hear his name, am I right? Again, the lowered head and silence. What's his name, by the way? It's not important. Let's assume. I'm not going to argue about it. Whether you like the name Mr. Bubblehead is irrelevant. Just know that I don't want you to go out with Mr. Pustoswan, and dating him on Friday will have consequences. What kind of consequences? You're not only beautiful, you're smart. I tell you those two things all the time. Obviously, you think I only say it because I have to. I don't. I say it because I mean it. I leave it to you, smart woman, to deal with the fallout from Friday's date with Mr. Pizdolov. You bluff, you love me, you always give me what I want. Well, I want it, and like I said, I'll come back and we'll love each other and grow old together. I can't stop you from doing stupid things, but you've been warned. You're on your own. I got up, grabbed my keys, and left before she could say anything else. The temperature in the apartment all this week has been chilly, to say the least. Thursday night, I packed up my stuff and moved into the guest room. What are you doing, Rick? Stopping with an armful of clothes, I looked at her like she was a 2-year-old. I guess I grossly overestimated your intelligence. What does it look like? Are you moving? Yeah, my wife wants to date other men. You think I'm going to share a room with a cheating whore? Keep dreaming. She sounded like a 5-year-old teasing me. You're such a silly boy, afraid his little figure would lose its shape. Without a word, I took that armful of clothes, hung them in the spare closet, and went back for another batch. So now you're trying to punish the big bad witch with silence, she smirked. Do you see how pathetic you are? Consequences, was my only answer. She won't be able to say she wasn't warned. Friday afternoon I left early and went to an upscale salon where I gave myself a professional modern haircut, shaved thoroughly with a dangerous razor, and even got a manicure. At the men's clothing store next door, I bought a casual, elegant shirt, slacks, and jacket. I considered new shoes, but decided that new shoes and dancing didn't mix, so I declined. On the way home, I stopped at a car wash and had them give it a full cleaning. My truck didn't realize what hit it. At home, I took a shower, and when I heard Brenda come in and shower, I went downstairs and waited. Half an hour later, she came down with a new bodice I had never seen before, a few inches above the knee and revealing a kind and generous view of cleavage to the world. She stopped on the last step and looked at me as if expecting a compliment. When I remained silent, she looked at me a second time and her eyes became saucer-like. Holy shit, you look great. Where are you going? Out. What did you think? Mimicking her condescending tone, I continued. That your weak, ignorant husband would just sit at home playing with his little baby and wait for her lascivious majesty to show up? Shaking my head slowly, I opened the door to the garage and continued in a harsh tone. I thought you were smart. How wrong can a person be? Well, I don't want to be late. Charmaine can't stand it. Getting into my clean truck, I heard a shout and smiled. Gotcha. Charmaine and I spent a terrific evening at a wine bar that served light dinners and on weekends had a live pianist on their little dance floor. At work, we had already discovered that conversation flowed easily between us. Even better, she appreciated my humor. Yes, it's a cliché, but it's true. Few things capture a guy's heart as much as a woman laughing at his jokes. Dancing together was like having sex with shoes on. We matched, and more than once our lips gently touched our ears, cheeks, and lips. Our bodies radiated magic as we pressed against each other. However, we knew I was still married, and we respected that. So we spent a long, leisurely evening sipping wine and letting our gazes play flirtatious games with each other as we chatted. Brenda, as I mentioned, is beautiful and passionate. However, the flip side of passion is jealousy, and I was almost certain that the thought of me riding around with Miss D.D. Charmaine would drive her crazy and ruin the wonderful time she expected to have with her new and lustful Mr. Holloway. When I dropped Charmaine off at her apartment, she did me a favor by dripping a drop of her perfume on my shirt and smearing her freshly painted lips on my shirt collar, neck, and cheek. With a peck on the cheek, she said goodnight. Go get her, Tiger. We laughed, and I got in my truck and drove home. It was barely 10 when I walked into the Big Chill. Where the hell have you been? None of your business, I replied nonchalantly. You never told me where you went with your anonymous Mr. Voidwalker. I'd ask you if he used condoms, but I don't care if you rot from the inside out anymore because I'll never touch your filthy, cheating body again. So I don't care where you went, what you did, or who you did it with. I had a fantastic time, and I'm very grateful to you for that. What kind of gratitude is that? Don't you get it? If you hadn't gotten the stupid idea to end our marriage, I never would have had the chance to get to know Charmaine. What a woman. Hot, very hot. So thank you, darling. Ah, Brenda screamed at the top of her lungs, making me wonder if the neighbor would call the police. You know I hate that bitch. Why do you think she was the first person I called? Stunned, she stared at me. What did you say? Once again, I seem to have overestimated your intelligence. Focus for a second, this isn't rocket science. You decide to reject me and rub my nose in it by dressing up for some anonymous asshole, wearing clothes you've never worn for me, and you're surprised when I follow suit? You renegotiated the terms of our marriage, despite my objections, and I just did the same thing you did. The only difference is that I was honest enough to tell you who I left with. For some strange reason, you're too ashamed of your accomplices to name them. So, Miss Very Smart, what exactly is your problem? Brenda's eyes blew the wind out of her sails and 2 tears rolled down her cheeks. Without giving her a chance for a second breath, I continued. So let me guess, Kevin South didn't get your pussy tonight like he'd hoped. Another squeal, this time filled with pathos, filled the air, accompanied by the clamping of my hands over my mouth. How did you know? In the voice of a game show announcer, I said in a raspy voice, once again, the inadequacy of your mind is on full display. Think about it for once. You work in an office with at least 10 other women. Kevin is the biggest pussy lover anyone has ever seen. Everyone there knows who fucks who and talks about it. You used to do it once too. So, did you think for a second you'd be the exception? For over a month now, several of your so-called friends have been telling me how you not only bought into Kevin's bullshit, but you started looking for her, as one of your coworkers said. Who knows? Maybe he dumped her for you. Hell hath no fury in all that. According to the gossip, he was going to make you his tonight. He even had a room at the Marriott. Apparently, he's spending his first night at the Marriott. After that, it's Motel 6 or a woman's house. Didn't you know that? Her big eyes told me she was shocked at being made to look ignorant, gullible, and such an easy target. A fit of weeping came over her. Oh, Rick, I'm sorry, you're right, I'm such a fool. How can you stand being married to a stupid bitch like me? Ah, Brenda, the good news is I don't have to keep doing this. I don't have to stay married to your stupid, stinking ass. You'll be served tomorrow after breakfast. We're renting this house, and we have 3 more months, so you can renew your lease or use that time to find something you like better. Where will you go? she asked in a quiet voice. Charmaine said I could stay at her place while I figure something out. She has a second bedroom she uses for an office. Once I applied, she said we could discuss better terms. When I told her I was applying tomorrow, she laid out those terms. The good ones. I can't wait to explore them further. Everything else you and I have, we'll just split it in half. Now you can sleep with whoever you want and you won't have to put up with crap from a wussy husband. I hope Kevin is worth it. Epilogue. I met up with some of the other husbands who had fallen victim to Kevin, aka Mr. Wimpy Husband. One night after dinner, he discovered his car had been vandalized. Windows broken, paint scratched, baby poop all over the seats, wheels stolen, and I forget what else. While he was surveying the damage, 3 masked, unknown men, all dressed in black, robbed him without a word and beat him badly. The police were puzzled as to why the robbers, who were after his wallet and fake Rolexes, had wiped out his family jewelry, but since there were no witnesses and the parking lot cameras were splattered with paint, they had nothing to fall back on. During this time, the 4 spouses of his victims were playing poker at one of their homes. After he recovered, he moved out of state. No one knows or no one cares where exactly. Brenda moved out, found an apartment, but when she realized I was happily attached to Charmaine, she moved out of state too. I never saw her again. I stayed with Charmaine for a while, but we mutually decided that short-term fun didn't necessarily lead to long-term compatibility. So I moved out and found a townhouse near work. As I got older, wiser, and fitter, I found a good connection with a fellow gym member. One thing led to another, as these moments usually do, and I found happiness with a woman who had real brains between her ears and loyalty in her heart.
Thank you for listening to the entire story. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more exciting stories. Until next time,